What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some absolutely insane battles featuring a team that might be familiar to regular viewers of the channel, as this is the exact team Game DJ 487 used to win the Ultra League Battle of Spice last season, and since I just got my hands on a low CP Char Cadet, I figured I'd give it a try in the Open Great League. Now initially I was actually going to run both Cerulege and Armarouge together, but I realised I actually don't have enough rare candies to build both of them, so you may get to see a Great League Armarouge in the future, but it might not be during this league rotation. Anyways, before we get into the question of the day, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that joined yesterday's live stream, and if you missed it, it was actually a dual stream with Jamie Finn, where between us we ran 150 unique Shadow Pokemon in the Open Great League, and it was a really fun stream. Now there were definitely a few technical difficulties, but I think it went pretty well, and hopefully I will be able to host more dual streams in the future, so definitely let me know if you want to see that. And if you didn't get to see it live, you can still watch the stream back, and that's the case for all of my previous live streams. I also want to give a special thank you to Colin L, who regularly gifts memberships in my streams, as well as X Boston and Itiash Ishman for their donations in yesterday's stream. But with that being said, let's finally get into the question of the day. Which Pokemon Go content creators would you like to see me collaborating with in a future dual live stream? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, lead Bisharp into Altaria. Now for most steel types this would be a pretty good matchup, but unfortunately this Bisharp can only throw resisted charge moves, and that is not intentional. I just don't have enough TMs to play the TM roulette game here. I spent so many TMs trying to get flame charge on my Cerulege, so I even did like a bunch of remote raids raiding those tier 3 bosses just to get those guaranteed charge TMs there to just finally get flame charge. I couldn't afford to use any more on the Bisharp, but we end up grabbing a shield there. They do get a huge Dragon Breath farm down, which isn't ideal. We're going to come in with the Shadow Gallade. I'm definitely going to have to shield up the Sky Attack here. Unfortunately, Leaf Blade is double resisted. We cannot take out an Altaria with a Leaf Blade, so I full send the close combat, and they're going to double shield. So I'm swapping into my Cerulege. Luckily for me, the opponent throws on very poor timing there, so we get a full Incinerate in for free. Honestly, I had not been keeping track of their energy at this point, so I'm just going to play it safe, go for one extra Incinerate, go for the Flame Charge, get the KO up against the Altaria, and they come in with a Spark Lantern. So we are boosted. This Shadow Ball is going to do absolutely massive damage here. All shields are down, and the opponent has to let that through. They're going to throw a charge move to get rid of us, but they didn't overfarm massively, so we're going to come in with the Shadow Gallade. I'm going to continue to overfarm here, expecting the opponent to try and make a catch, and they swap into Vigoroth, but it's game over as a close combat one-shots the Vigoroth, and we've got a Leaf Blade loaded. We actually could have just gone for a close combat as well, but either way, Leaf Blade takes out the Lantern, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game we see a Girafarig in the lead, so this is an amazing matchup for Bisharp. Well actually if they were running Double Kick then that would have been pretty bad, but luckily for me they're running Confusion, which is triple resisted by the way. They go for Psychic Fangs, they drop my defense, and they come in with Vigoroth, but we don't care. Focus Blast, one-shots another Vigoroth. Back-to-back Vigoroths getting one-shot by huge fighting type Nukes. We're going to bank some energy, then swap into my Shadow Gallade, and at this point we're looking to be in a pretty decent position, especially since the opponent goes for a very unnecessary Sludge Wave there. I was always shielding my Gallade, but either way we can go for Leaf Blade, start spamming, and the first one grabs a shield from the opponent there. I guess we could be running something like Psychic or Synchronize, but the opponent's going to swap back into their Girafarig. Quite a nice play from the opponent there, but the opponent's going to end up shielding anyway, so doesn't really matter. And remember, Bisharp does triple resist the Psychic type damage, so I can still overfarm, go for an X-Scissor. I farm two back-to-back moves, X-Scissor easily gets the KO there, and again unfortunately both moves are resisted up against the Toxapex, but it doesn't really matter. We swap into Cerulege, get quite lucky that we get a 0-turn swap, as that allows me to get a full Incinerate in for free, and the opponent is just going to concede the match there, and we're able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game, awful lead for us this time around. We're going to swap into our Shadow Gallade, and we're able to outpace them to a Leaf Blade before they make it to even a Night Slash, which is what I do like about Shadow Gallade. It's incredibly fast to that first charge move. I'm going to no shield as this is just a Night Slash, although this does allow them to fully counter farm me down if they want to double shield, but at that point I don't really mind that. They are going to double shield, they get the counter farm down, but I can just double shield my Cerulege as well. We are double resisting the counter damage here, so just going to play it safe. safe, and the opponent is going to go for another Night Slash. Honestly, Night Slash, well, especially with the boost now, would definitely take us out. Well, if it doesn't, it would basically put us into farm down range, but I play it safe there. They come in with a Bubble Jellicent, but we are going straight for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball one-shots the Jellicent. They come in with the Unnerving Stunfisk. I'm not going to bother trying to make a catch or anything. I'm just going straight for Shadow Ball number 2. It deals huge damage there, and Bishop should be able to live a single Mud Bomb from this Unnerving Stunfisk, so this should be game over, and the opponent recognizes that, so they concede the match. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game, we see Bishop into Greninja. Now, this is going to be the Yonkers team. Well, actually, he didn't make it himself, but he made a video on it recently, and I've actually seen it quite a lot. So it's going to be Greninja. Unfortunately, we don't live that. I thought, like, oh, we might just barely hang on, live a Hydro Cannon and then go for an Exeter, but no, apparently not. Bishop is very glassy, and actually this entire team is incredibly glassy, so if you do have access to all 3 of these Pokemon and you want to run this team, just be aware it's very difficult to use, but incredibly fun, I will say. But anyways, the team is Greninja, and then I believe it's Clodsire and Charjabug in the back. I think I faced this team like 2 or 3 times with this team, and unfortunately I just didn't have a very good time here, but we're going to go for another Leaf Blade, finally taking out the Greninja there. They come in with the Clodsire, but yeah, there's not a lot we can do here. Leaf Blade is at least going to hit for neutral damage, but it is non-stab. Clodsire incredibly bulky. I'm going to make a swap here, catching the Charge onto the Ceruledge. At this point, I actually didn't realize it was the Yonkers team. I actually hadn't just watched the video at all there, but after facing this team, I thought, you know what? It's probably a good idea to check out what that third Pokemon is to see if I have any play, and yeah, it's going to be a Charjabug, so pretty difficult for me to deal with this team specifically, but GG's to the opponent there. And into the next battle, we're going to see Skarmory in the lead. So again, a fairly decent matchup. At least this time, Focus Blast is going to hit for neutral damage. So I'm just going to no shield here. Everything is resisted. They go for a Sky Attack. That still does quite a lot of damage, but I'm full sending the Focus Blast. Focus Blast nearly one-shots the opponent there. We get the Snarl Farm down. They come in with Medicham, and we actually get damage registration error, allowing me to make it to an Exeter. Although Exeter doesn't do that much damage, it is non-stab, but it's some nice chip damage anyways. I'm going to come in with my Ceruledge here just because I think, you know, they've got a Skarmory in the lead. They could very well have a Mud Boy in the back, so I'm just going to shield this. It could be a Psychic. It is the Psychic. I could have farmed to 100 energy actually before throwing, or even potentially gone for a full farm down there, but I play it safe once again. I go for the Flame Charge, and they've actually got a Azumarill in the back, so either way, we're still looking pretty fine. Shadow Ball is going to grab a shield. We can now swap into my Shadow Gallade, and of course, Leaf Blade won't actually one-shot them, but it's going to do absolutely huge damage, considering it's a non-stab 35 energy charge move. This thing hits like an absolute truck, and you can also see my IVs on my 3 Pokemon are very questionable. Honestly, I don't know why I built the Shadow Gallade at all, but since I have built it, I don't really want to build another one. But at this point, the opponent realizes if they throw a charge move there, we can just Incinerate farm them down, so they just concede the match. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game, we see a Water Gun Lantern in the lead. So this is kind of okay. I'm just going to stay in. The opponent's actually going to swap into a Wigglytuff now. We're not running Iron Head, but it doesn't matter as Focus Blast nearly one-shots them. We actually can't Snarl farm them down since that is resisted, but we make it to a last second X-Scissor, and we actually just take out the Wigglytuff there. Now, the reason I didn't swap into my Ceruledge was because I didn't want to switch lock it. So now we can just come in with our Shadow Gallade. Yes, they've got a lot of energy, but they no shield there. So I'm going to shield this. I think they will make it to back-to-back serves, but at this point I've got to make a decision. Do I double shield my Gallade? I decide, nope, I'm gonna let it go through. We swap into Ceruledge, and it turns out to be the correct decision as they've got a Shadow Jumpluff in the back, and now all we need to do here is shield this up, and we can go for a full Incinerate farm down, and we are actually not going to get the farm down there as the opponent then gets the damage registration error. They go for the Aerial Ace, and here I go for a Flame Charge. I thought they were at like 1 or 2 HP, but I realized actually nope, we're going to need to go for the Incinerate farm down, and we do just barely get it. So me throwing a Charge move there was actually a mistake, and that could have been costly for me, but luckily for me, we do still get the farm down there, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game, we're going to see the opponents swapping into a Venusaur into my loaded Ceruledge. That is a very questionable decision, and they've got Shadow for Alligator in the back, so very clearly a misclick there. But let's see, we're going to go for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to grab a shield from the opponent. At this point, we're still looking to be in a pretty awkward position here. This Variegator has a lot of energy. Once again, I'm just trusting in Bishop to live this charge move here. And Hydro Gun actually doesn't take us out there, but this time we don't get damage registration error, or the new mechanic, as I have called it many times in the past, although obviously it is very much not new anymore, so I can't really call it that anymore. But anyways, we're going to go for a Leaf Blade here. Leaf Blade will get the KO, but this is game over. Unless the opponent doesn't respect the damage from a close combat, I don't think this will KO anyways. It is resisted, but they just play it safe, they use their shield, and we do end up losing that game. But GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we can see Bishop into a Mantine. So again, another flying type that unfortunately we can only hit for resisted damage, but actually the opponent makes my life easier. They swap into Galarian Stunfisk, and we one-shot the Stunfisk with a Focus Blast. And at this point, I'm assuming they're probably going to run Aerial Ace and Ice Beam, but no, it's Water Pulse. We barely hang on, but now we're actually in a pretty awkward position here. We're going to swap into Shadow Gallade. I didn't want to give them slightly extra farm. We go for a Leaf Blade there, and the opponent's going to overfarm, and this is perfect for me. They throw on the CMP tie. We go for Leaf Blade number 2. They no shield, and at this point, I'm just going to trust in my Serral Edge. I can't really afford to shield this, as they will either outpace me to the next charge move or just commit to a full wing attack farm down. But now we can come in with the Serral Edge, and again, I'm hoping this time the opponent does just full send a Water Pulse, so I'm definitely just going to shield this up here. They full send the Water Pulse, and we get the Incinerate farm down, and they've got a Goodra in the back now, unfortunately resisting the Incinerate damage. We're going to full send the Shadow Ball here. Shadow Ball does get shielded. We make it to a second Shadow Ball. Does this KO? It hits incredibly hard here. Shadow Ball doesn't get the knockout though, but Incinerate gets the KO up against the Goodra, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, another flying type where I'm basically just stuck. And actually this is a lot worse because they've also got Dig to hit for super effective damage. The opponent is going to full send the Dig here, and at this point I shield that up here because I don't really know what to do up against this thing. As well, Shadow Gallade not going to have a particularly good time here, and unfortunately they can outpace me before I make it to an X-Scissor and a Focus Blast. So I do end up throwing there, and the opponent does a very nice job of over farming here, throwing just before we make it to the next charge move. We come in with the Serral Edge. I was hoping Incinerate would KO, and at this point it's basically game over. Dig is going to one-shot us. We come in with Shadow Gallade, and the opponent's going to have a Razor Leaf Shadow Victory Belt in the back, and yeah, pretty rough game for me there, but GG's to that opponent. Now going into the next battle, we see Bishop into Abomasnow. This is a great lead matchup for us, and as well, we've got Serral Edge in the back, and even Gallade, if we land a close combat, will easily one-shot them. So either way, pretty good to see. It doesn't really matter what order. The opponent's going to Safe Swap into Annihilate. We're coming straight in with the Shadow Gallade, going for a Leaf Blade here, throwing before they make it to the charge move, or at least before the opponent throws a charge move here. And at this point, I'm definitely going to shield this up. Night Slash probably won't quite take us out from this range, but I play it safe anyways, and we're going to go for Leaf Blade number 2. Now, Leaf Blade is going to grab the final shield from the opponent, and at this point, I could shield this and go for a third Leaf Blade, but actually, I'm going to no shield. Night Slash will be taking us out. Luckily for me, no boost yet from the opponent. We're going to come in with the Serral Edge, and I should be able to just go for a full Incinerate farm down. They're going to throw just before the second Incinerate damage registers. Night Slash is going to get my final shield. We're now going to swap into our Bishop here. I'm going to go for a Focus Blast just as they are making it to an Ice Beam. Focus Blast is going to hit for resisted damage. Once again, only resisted moves, but even if I was running Dark Pulse, that would still be resisted. Ice Beam will get the KO. We can go for one extra Incinerate, go for a Shadow Ball. I'm hoping that Annihilate doesn't make it to a charge move here, because if they don't make it to a move, then we're going to be absolutely fine. As the opponent comes back in with the Annihilate, we get the Incinerate farm down. Unless this opponent is running like Outrage, we should be fine here, as the Incinerate damage will take them out. We live the Energy Ball there, we take out the Abomasnow, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Skarmory in the lead once again. So just going to stay in once again. Of course, Serral Edge has a great matchup up against Skarmory, but this is also pretty good. We've seen a Focus Blast land already, and that one does slightly less damage, actually. Wow, why can't I talk right now? They're going to go for a Sky Attack here. Can we get the Snarl farm down? It's close, but we just barely get it. And we also come out with an X-Scissor loaded. Now, of course, this is double resisted, but the opponent probably not realizing we're going to run X-Scissor and Focus Blast, so they end up using a shield. We're going to come in with the Shadow Gallade. I'm going to farm, throw on the CMP tie as the opponent reaches a Shadow Ball. Leaf Blade grabs that final shield from the opponent. And at this point, the opponent is going to bait with a Night Slash, but that's absolutely fine with me. I'm going to throw on the TMP type. Once again, this will just be another Night Slash here. So if this doesn't KO, actually, it doesn't matter. It does get the knockout there. And they've got a Bastiodon in the back. So we go straight for the close combat. Close combat actually doesn't one-shot the Bastiodon. That is insane. But one more Psycho Cut does the job, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Goodra in the lead. So at least this time, we are resisting the Dragon Breath damage, but also both X-Scissor and Focus Blast do hit for neutral damage. They're going to go for an Aqua Tail that does a lot of damage. I'm going to farm two back-to-back X-Scissors here. This is the safe play. Could have gone for the Focus Blast, and if I did, I would have just one-shot the Goodra there. But either way, we can go for back-to-back X-Scissors, and either way, the opponent is just going to no-shield anyways. But then they come in with a Shadow Dragonite, a shiny Shadow Dragonite as well. Very weird team ordering from the opponent here, running ABA double dragon, but they are going to go for a full Dragon Breath farm down. Possibly should have swapped out of that matchup there, but honestly, I'm not in a very good position. We are going to shield up the Ceruledge here. Luckily for me, the opponent didn't throw on the best timing on their first charge move. The second charge move is much better timing there, but they're going to swap into a Registeel, and actually this might be a win condition for me, because now we've boosted up our attack. We can go for a full Incinerate farm down, and can we Incinerate farm down the Dragonite there? The answer is no, unfortunately not. They're able to Dragon Breath farm me down. I am wondering if I went for a Flame Charge there, maybe my Incinerate would have KO'd. I thought I could have just got that fast move beat down, but unfortunately I was not able to do so, and they're able to take that game. But GG's, very close game there. Into the next battle, we see a Lantern in the lead, and I'm just going straight for the Focus Blast once again. No point going for X-Scissor, and Focus Blast does huge damage, and once again we're able to get the Snarl farm down, coming out with an X-Scissor loaded. And let's see, the opponent's going to come in with a Crocodile. So of course, X is again going to be resisted, but the opponent absolutely petrified after seeing that Focus Blast land, so they end up shielding a resisted move. We now come in with our Ceruledge. Of course, we are both resisting the Incinerate damage. Unfortunately for us, they go for a Crunch and they drop our defense, but we can go for a Flame Charge there, and the opponent over farms, allowing me to make it to Flame Charge number 2, and we have boosted our attack. So Flame Charge does some decent damage there. It doesn't quite get the KO, but either way, I can just let this go through, and hopefully Shadow Gallade can take out whatever's in the back. And we're about to find out that it's going to be a Roselia, so incredibly spicy from the opponent, but this close combat is resisted damage, but this will very clearly take out Roselia, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, we see Bishop into a Skarmory once again. So once again, just going to play out this lead matchup here. Not going to bother shielding. And actually, if they go for a Brave Bird here, honestly, this might KO. I don't really know here. The opponent full sends the Brave Bird. We barely hang on. And they swap into Swampert, but we're going straight for the Focus Blast. Focus Blast also barely doesn't quite KO there. But I'm actually going to come in with my Ceruledge here, just because I realized they weren't making it to a charge move. And one Incinerate is going to do, obviously, gain a lot more energy than a single Psycho Card. And they come in with a Trevenant as well. So good to see it here. We can now go for one extra Incinerate since we were boosted. I can just come in with my Shadow Gallade. They're only making it to one move, so they full send the Shadow Ball. We can go for a Psycho Cut farm down. Now all I need to do here is farm up 2 back-to-back close combats, and if it doesn't quite KO, I think I can still go for one extra Incinerate on my Ceruledge, but we are full sending the second close combat here. Does this get the knockout? Yes it does. We take out the Skarmory, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Cresselia in the lead. Now this is a very good matchup for us, and even Moonblast is only going to hit for neutral damage. I'm going to no-shield the first one as we can tank this, and these Psycho Cuts are triple resisted by the way, but they drop my attack, and now suddenly what was a very dominant matchup for us is actually not going to be very comfortable, as now they will be able to live 2 X-Scissors reasonably well, and we can't Snarl farm them down before they make it to the next charge move, and this is just very disappointing for us, because now we're going to lose the 0 shield scenario, which Bishop would typically win. And as well, I just didn't keep track of their energy. I thought I'd get more energy on my Gallade there coming in and getting a Psycho Cut farm down, but they make it to another charge move, and they've got a Skeledirge in the back as well, so things are not looking too good for us. We do at least grab a shield there, but this Leaf Blade certainly is going to be no shielded by the opponent. And this point, I'm basically just staying in, forcing the opponent to throw a charge move to get rid of us, and they go for a Disarming Voice, getting the KO. We can come in with the Ceruledge, and I'm hoping we can just fully Incinerate farm them down here, but I don't think it's quite going to happen. I think they are just one Incinerate away from the next Disarming Voice, but they're going to grab the final shield, swap into a Shadow Quagsire, and unless they let the Shadow Ball go through, it's going to be game over. They shield that up, they can make it to a Mud Bomb, Aquatel, Stone Edge, doesn't really matter. Any of those moves will be taking out Ceruledge, and we do end up losing that game. But GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, we see Whiscash in the lead. So I'm going to stay in here, of course. We've also got Ceruledge in the back, which isn't going to do particularly well. I'm hoping I can live this comfortably enough to make it to a Focus Blast, but nope. We barely hang on, so I'm just going to have to settle for an X-Scissor. And unfortunately for me, the opponent does not shield that. If they shielded, we'd be in a great position because, of course, Leaf Blade is going to one-shot a Whiscash. And I'm actually able to make it to that Leaf Blade on the CMP tie, as the opponent is probably going to go for a Scald this time around, since they would have outpaced me if they went for Mud Bomb there. They go for the Scald, they don't drop my attack, and either way it doesn't really matter because Leaf Blade's still going to get the KO. We go for a second Leaf Blade, once again throwing on the CMP tie, and the opponent double shields here, so possibly weak to Gallade in the back. Otherwise maybe they just want to grab my shields as well, and the opponent's going to make a very nice catch, catching a double resisted Leaf Blade onto their Talonflame. We're going to swap into Ceruledge, and it looks like they're running Fire Spin Talonflame, which definitely isn't the play, but if you don't have any elite TMs, I guess maybe you're just stuck with it. But either way, we go for the Shadow Ball straight away, and the opponent's going to throw their energy immediately, and this is perfect. This is what I needed. Mud Bomb gets the KO. We're going to come in with the Shadow Gallade, and once again, over farming here. We go for the Leaf Blade, of course. This will be taking them out, and they've got a Goodra in the back. We barely make it to close combat. Does this get the one shot? Close combat actually doesn't get the KO there, but I'm able to Psycho Cut farm them down, and that's only due to an inconsistency with the fast move damage from one turn fast moves there. They should have basically simultaneously KO'd us, but luckily for me, the Dragon Breath damage on the second Dragon Breath just doesn't register for some reason, and we're able to take them out. So very lucky on my end, should have been a tie, but GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we're going to see another Greninja in the lead. This time they actually over-farmed, and that allows me to grab a shield advantage with my Bishop before inevitably going down to a Hydro Cannon. This time they can just bait, and they're going to swap into Clodsire. So again, probably going to be the team that Yonkers showcased with Clodsire and Charge Bug in the back. We're going to throw on the CMP tie, and at this point I'm hoping this Leaf Blade will put them into range where I can just Incinerate farm them down. That's basically my only win condition here, is getting a full farm down before the opponent makes it to the next charge move, and unfortunately they live with 1 HP and a Dream. And at this point I have to shield, but Greninja of course will be making it to a charge move up against my Ceruledge, so it's going to be game over. I think if we got that farm down and we still had a shield, we might be able to win this game, but actually the Flame Charge doesn't do that much damage either, so I guess not. Anyways, Hydro Cannon will be taking out the Ceruledge, and we do end up losing that game. And honestly, I'm not even certain that there was a Charge Bug in the back. I have no clue. I just assume that's the team since Yonkers did showcase it, but I could be wrong. But either way, into the next battle, we're going to see Serperior in the lead. Now, Serperior was actually very common towards the end of last season in the lead, especially running Leaf Tornado. There are like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 content creators that all put out the same team within a space of like a day basically, and it was Serperior, Carbink and Dugong, I believe, and we are going to shield this up because I believe they're probably going to try and fight for switch advantage here, which they're not going to be able to get if we do make it to another X-Scissor, which we do. So here X-Scissor will be coming through, grabbing the final shield from the opponent. At this point I'm just going to let this go through. I realize they're running Aerial Ace and Leaf Tornado, so I actually just barely lived there, and we can win both switch advantage and still have a shield advantage, which is very nice. And it is a Carbink here, so we're going to come in with the Shadow Gallade, and basically my safe play here is just to shield whatever they throw. We're going to throw on what looks to be a CMP tie, so this should just be a rock side, but Shadow Gallade is very glassy. If it is the Dugong in the back, I'm definitely just going to play it safe, use my shield here, and the opponent is not going to bother trying to make a swap or make a catch or anything, so I can farm 2 back-to-back Leaf Blades. Leaf Blade #1 takes out the Carbink, and it's actually a Whiscash in the back, so it wasn't the Dugong, but either way, Shadow Gallade easily sweeps that team there, so I'm able to take that game. Into the next battle, we see Dragonite in the lead, Shadow Dragonite as well, and the opponent's going to throw on alignments. This is perfect for me and is the reason why I didn't throw straight away. As well, over farming here kind of implies that maybe I'm going to throw a harder hitting charge move, but it is just a resisted X-Scissor. So at this point, I'm going to go for X-Scissor #2. X-Scissor will be grabbing, actually no, it's no shielded by the opponent, and at this point I'm just going to let this go through here. Dragon Claw will be taking us out. We do end up losing the 1 shield scenario, but that's fine. We get some energy on our Shadow Gallade, and they come in with a Talonflame, so not ideal, but I'm going to full send the close combat here. Close combat, going to do big damage despite being resisted. We can swap into our Sarah Ledge, and basically my only win condition, I believe, is to just full send a Shadow Ball, and the opponent is not going to respect the damage. We get the 1 shot there, and I can just safely shield this up. If the Incinerate damage doesn't KO, then we could just go for an extra 1 and farm them down, but actually does take them out there, so I'm able to take out the Talonflame, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, we see Shadow Gallade in the lead. So again, another Psycho Cut user where they are going to be triple resisted on the Bishop. They're actually going to swap into Unova and Stunfisk. Unfortunately, Focus Blast is just neutral damage, so it doesn't quite KO, but I'm thinking I should live the Mud Bomb here, and Mud Bomb doesn't quite take us out. We have an X-Scissor loaded, so I'm going to throw it straight away, and X-Scissor is going to be no-shielded by the opponent, and at this point, this is a very, very stupid play from me. I don't know why I stayed in there. Of course, they were going to get a huge farm down since Psycho Cuts were triple resisted. They can now go for close combat, which is also double resisted, so I let the first one go through, but we just gave them extra energy for no reason whatsoever, and they've actually got a Talonflame in the back, so this is actually no longer looking good for us. We can go for a flame charge, and the opponent calls the bait. Insane call from the opponent there. I should have just played to my win condition, which was full sending a Shadow Ball, because now, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do unless the opponent massively overfarms here. We're going to be losing this game as we go for a Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade grabs the final shield. They do throw just before we make it to Leaf Blade number 2, and we've got Charge Reef loaded, but it doesn't really matter. We needed to get the Incinerate farm down, but they're able to farm me down instead, and we do end up losing that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into next game, we see a Dugong in the lead, and again, a Gligar. We don't really have a response to this at all, so I'm just going to go straight for the X-Scissor. X-Scissor is going to be no shielded, unfortunately. Gligar fairly bulky, so they're probably never going to shield a Charge Reef from us anyways. I'm going to shield and they bait with an Aerial Ace, which feels really bad. But now I'm going to full send the Focus Blast. Focus Blast is going to do big damage, but it still doesn't quite KO. So at this point, I'm just going to let Bishop go down. Dig will be taking us out, but we're going to come in with the Sarah Ledge, get the Incinerate farm down, and the opponent comes in with a Lantern. Now we do have some play here. I tried to wait 2 turns basically and throw on the CMP tie, but actually I didn't wait long enough there, so I think I needed to wait like 3 turns to try and throw on CMP. But either way, the opponent doesn't overfarm massively, so that's basically what I wanted. I didn't want them to massively overfarm there. We're now going to shield this. I didn't bother going for a Leaf Blade because it wouldn't quite KO from this range, but by the time I make it to like back-to-back Charge Reefs here, hopefully Leaf Blade will get the knockout here. So we go for the first one, grab the shield, we're going to overfarm by 1 more Psycho Cut, go for Leaf Blade number 2, they don't make the catch, and it does get the KO, and now they come back in with the Dugong. We can just go straight for the close combat, and close combat is going to one-shot the Dugong, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.